Most people think Scotch is already fancy the moment you step away from the bargain shelf, but then you realize there's a whole universe of famous Scotch brands, bottles you see in movies, airports, weddings, and your uncle's cabinet. And they're not all famous for the same reason. Some earn their reputation in the glass. Others ride on marketing budgets and blind loyalty. Today, we're ranking 20 famous Scotch brands from worst to best. Not by label prestige or how often you've seen the logo, but by what actually matters: flavor, personality, and whether the price feels fair for what's inside the bottle. Some of these are built for cola and ice. Some are built for quiet nights and slow sips. A few genuinely deserve the hype. A few absolutely don't. Let's start at the bottom and work our way up. 20. William Peel. William Peel is what happens when Scotch is treated like a category on a spreadsheet instead of a drink people actually taste. It's a massive seller in parts of Europe, but fame doesn't always equal quality. In the glass, it's pale and shy. You get a hint of vanilla, some cereal grain, maybe a ghost of apple if you really go hunting. Then you sip, and it's over almost before it begins. A flash of sweetness, a bite of alcohol, and a quick exit. Mix it with cola or lemonade, and it does its job. Brown, boozy, and anonymous. But neat? There's no story, no sense of place, nothing that makes you want a second pour. William Peel isn't offensive. It's just the kind of Scotch you forget the moment you put the glass down. That's why it opens the list at number 20. 19. Black and White. Black and White is the little bottle with the two terriers that refuses to disappear from history. It's been around for generations and built its name in bars long before social media tried to tell you what to drink. On the nose, it's light and simple. Grain, a bit of lemon, a hint of sweetness. On the palate, it feels more like lightly flavored spirit than a full Scotch experience. A whisper of malt, a quick burst of alcohol, and a dry finish that doesn't bring much else. Serve it long, over ice, with soda or lemonade, and it becomes perfectly acceptable background noise. But if you came to Scotch for depth, complexity, or any sort of emotion, Black and White feels like a black and white sketch in a world of color. Familiar, nostalgic, but firmly stuck at 19. 18. William Lawson's. William Lawson's is one of those bottles that quietly moves by the palate, especially across Europe and South America, without ever becoming the star of the show. It looks the part, pours the part, but doesn't quite deliver the full experience. The nose gives you caramel, grain, and a little fruit. Promising at first, but on the palate, the flavor never fully commits. You get sweetness, a touch of spice, then it all thins out and slides away. The finish is short, with a faint bitterness if you pay attention. Lawson's works fine as a mixer. In cola or ginger ale, it feels like value. Cheap Scotch that doesn't wreck the drink. Neat, though it's more suggestion than statement. It earns number 18 as a reminder that famous doesn't always equal memorable. 17. J&B Rare. J&B Rare is the bright yellow label you've seen in hotel bars, cruise ships, and cocktail lists that haven't changed in decades. It was designed to be light, blendable, and endlessly approachable. On the nose, you'll find lemon, grain, and soft malt. The palate is clean but very gentle. Soft sweetness, a bit of citrus, and not much else. The finish is short, with a faint bitter echo if you drink it neat. But here's where J&B makes sense. Highballs. Add soda, ice, and a twist of lemon, and suddenly that light profile becomes a plus. It's a Scotch for people who want the word Scotch on the menu, not a full-on flavor journey in the glass. At 17, it's not a villain. It's just playing a background role and seems perfectly content to stay there. 16. Grant's. Grant's is the quiet all-rounder in the blended Scotch world. A triangle bottle that's been sitting on supermarket shelves longer than some drinkers have been alive. Stick your nose in the glass and you get honey, grain, and soft fruit. Take a sip and it actually feels like something. Gentle sweetness, a touch of oak, and a bit of spice that hangs around just long enough to be noticed. The finish is short to medium, but more satisfying than the bottles below it. It still lives firmly in the everyday blend category, but there's a whisper of character here. Over ice or with soda, it holds up. As a neat pour, it's fine for a casual night where you're not analyzing every sip. Grant's lands at 16 because it proves cheap and famous doesn't always mean empty. It's not great, but it is quietly decent. 15. Ballantine's Finest. Ballantine's Finest is the diplomatic Scotch. It's here to keep the peace, not start any arguments. A huge seller in Europe and beyond, It built its reputation on one word: smooth. The aroma brings honey, soft grain, and a touch of spice. On the palate, it's balanced, light and polite. Some sweetness, gentle malt, and a very clean finish with almost no smoke at all. It's the definition of easy to drink. The upside is obvious. Ballantine's almost never offends. The downside is just as clear. It rarely excites. It's the kind of scotch you can pour for a crowd and know everyone will be fine with it. And almost no one will remember it tomorrow. At 15, Ballantine's earns its spot as a well-crafted, totally serviceable blend that chooses safety over personality. 14. Dewar's White Label. Dewar's White Label is the wedding bar veteran, the corporate drink ticket warrior. If there's a function with an open bar and one scotch, there's a good chance it's this one. On the nose, you get honey, citrus, vanilla, and a light, waxy malt note. The palate is simple but clearly Scotch: mild sweetness, cereal, a hint of wood spice, and just a ghost of smoke. The finish is short, but there's enough flavor to remind you you're not just drinking neutral spirit. White Label shines in highballs. Scotch and soda, lots of ice, maybe a lemon twist. Suddenly, it's crisp, refreshing, and better than its reputation suggests. Neat, it's perfectly drinkable for an entry-level pour. Dewar's lands at 14 for being a blend that actually feels like it came from Scotland, not just from a bottling line. 13. The Famous Grouse. The Famous Grouse is practically the house Scotch of Scotland itself. It's been the everyday choice for countless drinkers, and there's a reason for that. The nose shows toffee, malt, dried fruit, and a very gentle hint of smoke. On the palate, you get a rounded sweetness, some cereal, and that soft, smoky note woven through the background. The finish is medium, warming, and surprisingly satisfying for its price. It's still an everyday blend, but there's heart here. You can drink it neat without feeling punished, and in a highball it's excellent, flavorful, without being pushy. Grouse takes the number 13 spot for delivering a real Scotch experience on a regular person's budget. It's not a show-off. It's a workhorse that quietly does more than it needs to. 12. Johnnie Walker Red Label. Johnnie Walker Red Label is the most famous Scotch on earth that almost nobody actually sips neat twice. It's built, unapologetically, for mixing. On the nose, you get grain, citrus, and a streak of smoke. The palate hits sharper than most blends on this list. Sweet at first, then peppery, with youthful heat and a punch of smoke before it drops away. It's rough around the edges in a tumbler. Put it where it belongs, in a highball with ginger ale, soda, or cola, and it suddenly makes sense. That smoke and spice shine through the mixer, giving the drink backbone and personality. Red Label earns 12 because while it's overhyped as a sipping whiskey, it's underrated as a mixer. It's not elegant, but in the right glass, it's effective. 11. Chivas Regal 12. Chivas Regal 12 is the original fancy blend for a lot of people. Gold label, heavy bottle, and a reputation that stretches from boardrooms to duty-free shops. In the glass, it smells great. Honey, orchard fruit, vanilla, and a soft, nutty note. On the palate, it's smooth, slightly creamy, and gently sweet, with toffee, malt, and a mellow finish. It feels deliberately polished. The criticism is that sometimes it's a little too polished. All the edges are rounded off, and some drinkers miss a bit of drama or bite. But if what you want is an easy, slightly luxurious feeling Scotch you can pour for almost anyone, Chivas 12 does exactly that. It lands at 11 for being a dependable, crowd-pleasing blend that delivers a little bit of occasion without demanding too much from you. If you've ever stood in the whiskey aisle arguing with yourself about which of these labels actually deserves your money, do me a favor. Hit like and subscribe to bottlerank. It costs you nothing, but it tells YouTube to keep pushing honest rankings instead of another generic top 10 ad disguised as a review. It also helps justify the number of research bottles piling up around here. All right, top 10 time. This is where the famous names start to earn it. 10. Johnnie Walker Black Label. Johnnie Walker Black Label is where the Walker lineup stops feeling like marketing and starts feeling like whiskey. It's the first bottle in the range that many people happily sip neat. On the nose, you get caramel, dried fruit, vanilla, and a gentle, steady layer of smoke. The palate brings sweet malt, oak, spice, and that signature smoky backbone tying it all together. The finish is medium long, with lingering smoke and a touch of sweetness. Black Label works everywhere, neat, on ice, or in a highball. It's not explosive, but it is balanced and consistent. You can hand it to a beginner and a whiskey fan, and neither will complain. It earns 10th place for being one of the best. You can find this almost anywhere. Bottles that actually delivers a proper Scotch experience. 9. Glenfiddich 12. Glenfiddich 12 is the green bottle that quietly turned half the world onto single malt. It's not rare, it's not flashy, but it is incredibly important. The nose gives you green apple, pear, honey, and light oak. Take a sip, and it's bright, fruity, and gentle. Fresh orchard fruit, malt sweetness, and a clean, slightly oaky finish. No smoke, no peat, no aggression. This is gateway malt in the best sense. It takes people used to blends and shows them what single malt can be without punching them in the face. Is it the deepest whiskey in the world? No, but it's honest, friendly, and consistent. Glenfiddich 12 sits at 9 because it's the bottle that quietly turned Scotch from an intimidating idea into a drink a lot of people actually enjoy. 8. The Glenlivet 12. The Glenlivet 12 is Glenfiddich's eternal rival and another classic Speyside introduction. Different label, different distillery, same mission, get people into malt. On the nose, it leans a touch brighter, citrus, pineapple, green apple, and vanilla. The palate is crisp and refreshing, with light fruit, gentle sweetness, and a soft oak finish. It feels like whiskey with the windows open, clean, airy, and easy to drink. Side by side with Glenfiddich 12, some people find Glenlivet just a little livelier, a bit more zippy and citrus-led. It's not trying to be complex, it's trying to be inviting. It takes number 8 for being another superb gateway malt that adds a little extra sparkle and brightness to the first Scotch experience. 7. Monkey Shoulder. Monkey Shoulder is the modern party malt that somehow manages to please nerds too. It's a blended malt, which means no grain whiskey. Just a mix of single malts designed to work hard in cocktails and still taste good neat. On the nose, you'll find vanilla, honey, orange zest, and malt biscuits. The palate is creamy, soft, and approachable. Toffee, gentle spice, and a solid, malty backbone. The finish is medium and comforting. Monkey Shoulder shines in whiskey sours, highballs, and old fashions that would crush lighter blends. It has enough weight and flavor to hold its own without ever becoming harsh. At 7, it earns its place as one of the best do-everything whiskeys on the market. Fun, flavorful, and priced to actually pour, not admire on a shelf. 6. Highland Park 12. Highland Park 12 is where Scotch starts to tell stories. It comes from Orkney and tastes like it. A little wild, a little coastal, a little ancient. The nose gives you honey, dried fruit, gentle peat smoke, and a floral heather note that fans obsess over. On the palate, you get malt sweetness, spice, and a soft, earthy smoke that supports rather than dominates. The finish is medium long, with warmth and complexity. Highland Park 12 is a perfect stepping stone into the smoky side of Scotch for people who aren't ready to dive straight into Islay. There's flavor and atmosphere without the aggressive bonfire. It lands at 6 for delivering a layered, sense of place whiskey that still feels welcoming. 5. Glenmorangie Original 10. Glenmorangie Original 10 is elegance in an orange label. It's Highland Scotch at its most graceful. On the nose, you get bright citrus, vanilla cream, honey, and a subtle floral lift. The palate is silky and refined. Orange, malt, light spice, and oak in perfect balance. The finish is longer than you expect, leaving behind sweetness and gentle warmth. There's a precision to Glenmorangie 10 that sets it apart from other intro malts. It feels composed, like every note has been placed exactly where it belongs. Light, but not simple. Smooth, but not boring. At number 5, it stands as one of the best everyday sippers you can buy when you want something that feels just a little bit special without screaming about it. 4. Talisker 10. Talisker 10 tastes like weather. That's the simplest way to put it. It's from the Isle of Skye, and the glass brings the coastline with it. On the nose, sea spray, smoke, malt, and pepper. On the palate, it starts sweet. Then the pepper and smoke roll in, wrapped in salt and oak. The finish is long, warming, and unmistakably maritime. Talisker 10 isn't trying to be polite, it's trying to be itself. And that self is bold, coastal, and rugged. For many people, it's the bottle that shows them how much place can live inside Scotch. It hits number 4 because it brings personality in waves, without losing balance. If you want drama in your glass, this is where it begins in the famous brand world. 3. Ardbeg 10. Ardbeg 10 is unapologetic peat with a plan. It's not just smoke, it's a whole experience built around it. Stick your nose in the glass, and you get bonfire smoke, lemon, vanilla, and a savory, almost BBQ character. On the palate, sweet malt and citrus create a base. Then the peat roars in. Earthy, medicinal, coastal, and complex. The finish goes on and on. For some people, Ardbeg 10 is too much. For others, it's everything they ever wanted from whiskey in one bottle. It's intense, but there's structure under all that smoke. Ardbeg takes third place because it delivers one of the most powerful, recognizable flavor profiles in all of Scotch, at a price that's still vaguely sane. 2. The Macallan 12. The Macallan 12 is the luxury gateway. It's the bottle people buy when they want to feel like they've stepped into the good stuff without mortgaging the house. The nose is rich, dried fruit, vanilla, toffee, and warm baking spice, with sherry sweetness leading the way. On the palate, it's full and smooth, with raisins, caramel, oak, and a long polished finish. It feels like whiskey that's been dressed up for an important occasion. Is it hyped? Absolutely. Is it overpriced in some markets? Also, yes. But judged on the liquid alone, Macallan 12 delivers a genuinely special feeling pour that most drinkers instantly understand. It lands at number 2 because it balances luxury and approachability better than almost any other big-name Scotch. When you pour it, it feels like an event. 1. Lagavulin 16. Lagavulin 16 is where famous Scotch stops being branding and becomes legend. This is the bottle that turns casual drinkers into evangelists and sparks lifelong peat obsessions. On the nose, it's deep and moody, thick smoke, dried fruit, iodine, caramel, and dark oak. The palate is slow and layered. Sweet malt, sherry richness, maritime salt, peat, and spice, all moving together. The finish is long, smoky, and emotional. Lagavulin 16 doesn't care if you're ready. It shows up with intensity, depth, and a sense of place that feels almost cinematic. For some, it's too much. For others, nothing else compares. It takes the number 1 spot because, among famous Scotch brands, Lagavulin 16 is the one that most consistently delivers a truly unforgettable experience in the glass. And that's the lineup. 20 famous Scotch brands ranked from worst to best. From basic blends that barely whisper Scotch to bottles that taste like stormy coastlines and old libraries, they all earned their fame in different ways, some on price, some on marketing. A few on sheer, undeniable quality. Now it's your turn. Which one did I rank too low? Which one doesn't deserve its pedestal? And what bottle would you hand someone as their first "This is why Scotch matters" pour? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe to Bottle Rank for more brutally honest rankings. Your pour, our score. Cheers.